welcome back to the Leave It to the Judges MMA show. The boys, Nick and Xavier. Guys, today we are going to be recapping the UFC Iowa co and main event really quickly. Then we're going to dive right into UFC 315 preview. Let's just start the main event, guys, of the Iowa card. There's not much to talk about. Corey Sandhagen gets the finish victory over Davison Figueiredo. A lot of grappling, a lot of scrambling. The exact stoppage, something was up with Figueiredo's leg during one of the sequences on the ground, and he then lost on the ground to ground and pound strikes. But Corey looked good. He pretty much dominated the whole fight. What did you guys see on Saturday?
I mean, I didn't see much, but Figgy with the leg locks was a little weird, especially that early in the fight. I don't know if he just thought that like a submission was his best chance of victory or what, trying to catch Corey with something quick. But I mean, he ate a lot of ground and pound, chasing those leg locks, and like I think it. I mean, granted, like he did lose because of an injury, but taking that ass whooping in round one was not helping his case, and I don't think it was going to get much better for him based on what I was seeing. So, I mean, not too much to say. I thought the figure would honestly fare a little better, well, a lot better actually. And part of that is just his IQ and like choices of how he started that fight.
Yeah, I saw Figueiredo at 37 years old, man. Was my worry coming into this fight, and man, did he look 37. I mean, almost had nothing for Sandhagen on the feet. Even when he tried to go for the takedowns, which I thought was his best path to victory, got reversed about every time. Corey was just overall the better fighter, just landing vicious ground and pound. I mean, I thought he was going to get him out of there in the first round the way it was looking. Um, Figueiredo just kind of had no answer and decided to lay on his back with these leg locks. And I don't get it. It was poor IQ moment, or he just kind of, I think age is showing. I think it's an age thing. And I feel like I always kind of felt like once he got to these top five guys is where he would struggle in this division, just because I think of his size. Like at flyweight, he could get away with being less skilled because he had just more power than them. At this weight class, it's all like equal playing field in his power. So
I don't
he's
even know about equal playing field. I think he's like undersized for this weight division.
undersized. I'm just like power wise, like it's more like I'd say he's more powerful than Sandhagen probably is.
Like punch for punch, but
Yeah,
like they could
like
probably eat the
the
shot.
size kills him though.
I think,
They could eat the shots better. He hasn't gotten any finishes up here since he got at this new weight division. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah,
so but
He's
he's just gotten to a point now where he's fighting the top five. I just feel like it's bad news for him, especially if he can't beat like the more bottom top five guys like Corey and Jan. I just don't think he'll get the belt, and especially his age. That was a tough loss.
that was a
He's
tough
going
one.
to
Yeah.
be hurt for about a year.
I'm back
Um,
38. It's not gonna help him.
yeah, not going to help him.
But I mean,
Um,
I think that he's fine as a journeyman. I mean, as not as a journeyman, as a gatekeeper, like in that division, though. You know what I mean? I still think that there's a lot of guys he could beat. But yeah, he was always gonna struggle at the top of that division for sure.
Yeah, it's killer's row at 135, especially at the top. Corey Sandhagen did call for a title shot. Now he is only coming off a one-win streak. He's kind of been juggling wins and losses a bit, but this was a huge win. We got O'Malley and Marab 2 next week. I could totally see the UFC sliding him in for a title shot of the winner, especially if it's Marab. If O'Malley wins, they might do the trilogy. I don't see Umar getting a title shot until he gets another win. I think Corey gets the next title shot regardless of who the champ is. Like whatever Corey's next fight is will be for the belt, even if they do a trilogy fight.
I mean, I'm fine with that to be honest. I mean, just based on the fact that like you look at who's already fought each other up there. Like in the people that have beat Corey Sandhagen have already fought for the belt, and they're like not really next in line, quote unquote, to get a title shot. So I mean, There was really no reason that this fight wasn't really the de facto like number one contender fight in the division. Even though like I think we both would agree that it's likely that both Sandhagen and Figgy would lose to like Jan or Umar, but it doesn't matter because that's not how the UFC works. They need a constant cycle of title challengers, new title challengers. So and they need a fresh matchup. So yeah, I see no reason not to give Corey Sandhagen the shot, and it might be his like last and one and only shot if he doesn't, you know, capitalize. So I feel like he proved that he's still pretty primed, or at least he looked pretty primed here. So I say that they strike while the iron's hot with him and just get him in there.
Yeah, I especially think since the performance he actually put on Saturday, I think should just get him the title shot. I thought he looked very dominant, very good, just prime Corey, like, and he's been, fighting to get this title shot forever. So I think he deserves it. Um, and also X is right. I mean, Umar just lost to Marab. Jan got destroyed by Marab, so I don't see them making that matchup right away. So it just makes sense to have a fresh matchup in Corey versus Marab. And honestly, Corey's look good takedown defense wise against most of all these people. He's just like slightly behind. And I mean, I think that makes an interesting matchup versus Marab, to be honest. I think that makes it interesting.
Yeah,
He's also
I agree.
proven to have decent cardio, so
Hmm.
the chances that he can find a shot late, even if it's like a jump knee or some shit, like it's possible always.
Yeah, it's just Corey kind of like he stumbles at the really big fight. So we will see. This seems to be his last chance, like you said. But let's move on, guys, to the story of the night. I'm sure all of you have already seen videos on this. People have their takes. Rainer de Rinner, yeah, womp womp for Bo Nickel and his fanboys. But he got kind of the first round was kind of close, but the second round he kind of crumbled. RDR did his thing to the body. RDR just looked like a weight bully out there, bro. He looked massive over Bo Nickel. The physicality, the skills. RDR 3-0 in the UFC, three finishes, stops the Bo Nickel hype train for now. What did you guys see on Saturday?
I think that Bo needs to seriously reevaluate a lot of things, including going down to 170. If he can stand the weight cut, I thought that he looked very much undersized in there, and I kind of thought he looked a little undersized against Paul Craig, to be honest, too. But I mean, Paul Craig a big fucker. Um, but I mean, I think that this kind of solidified it. And even though like De Ritter has definitely fought up different weight divisions, and he is a big guy for the weight class. But I just think that maybe the physicality he might have to pull a Buckley, where it's like at 170, Buckley's physicality translates a lot better, and I think that the same might be the case for him. I do not see him bridging the gap to like a Hamzat level or anything close based on what I saw here. Um, I thought that like after feeling him out in round one and getting into some scrambles, I think he jumped a guillotine that was ill-advised against someone with the ground savvy of a DeRitter. Um, so clearly he was not comfortable in there, and I think that once DeRitter sensed that, he just decided like I'm not gonna give Bo any breaks. Like I'm not gonna let him think in there. I'm just gonna swarm him, beat him up, bully him, put him up against the cage, rip the body, and I mean like he just kind of took the fight to him. I think that the UFC might have miscalculated De Ritter's level because he hasn't looked this impressive since he got to the UFC, and I think that this was like either a turn back the clock or turn the clock forward, like improvement off the Ritter, and it just kind of showed levels.
Look, in the preview, I was saying how bad of a matchup this was. I was saying the experience was so vast, and it showed out there. Like, I'm not surprised at all. Already did what he did to Bo. Like, This isn't the NCAA wrestling championships of the world. This is MMA. This is the UFC where there's a cage on the outside. Like to just expect Bo, who I also felt like and do feel like he's kind of under. I don't think he's super undersized for middleweight, but he's kind of in that weird position where he'd be like a 175er, maybe like 180-ish. And it's unfortunate, but like I don't know. I just kind of figured the fight played out how I thought it would. A lot of clinch work, and I was honestly impressed first round a little bit what I saw by Vo. He was able to get the takedown on a pretty big guy with some trips, creative trips, but he clearly just did not know how to hold RDR down there. But RDR is a big guy. He got the butterflies in pretty quick. And he made a rookie mistake, which I'm not surprised. Someone who's only had 7 MMA fights, he jumps the gi. He jumps the gi and just like kind of like, and then just allows RDR to sit on him the rest of the round, probably sapped his gas tank more. But I mean, the story of the fight overall was the RDR knees. They were money all day. Bo was not doing a good job protecting his body at all. Those knees were just connecting every time with pretty good force. And I don't know, man. The MMA community's kind of clowning him. I think it's more has to do with the way he's been talking about himself. But man, when you're an undefeated wrestler who has 4 championships, who's probably never lost a fight, you're gonna say these kind of things. And obviously, you might get clowned on a little, but I feel like everyone's going at him too harsh. And I think that might also have to do with Vegas pumping up uh his favoritism. But like there's no way in the world a Bo Nickel in 7 fights versus a one double champ who fought at middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. There is no way he should have been a minus. He shouldn't have been the favorite in the first place, but he shouldn't have been a minus like he ended up minus 460, which is insane. It's insane. And RDR, I had watched RDR. I just knew how good this dude was in the wrestling and grappling area specifically. So I just figured it was like the worst kind of matchup. Because I knew Bo didn't have enough on the feet unless he showed some like out of nowhere kickboxing. And that's also the thing. RDR has a kickboxing background. He's not the best striker, but he has a kickboxing background at least. So I don't know, man. Just all the experience. I'm not like surprised of what occurred. Um, Bo definitely just needs to get in the gym and work on stuff, which I think he will. I don't think this is like end of the world for Bo Nickel. He's still very young. He has plenty of time to get better. The wrestling, I will say I expected maybe to be a tiny bit better, but RDR is just a big guy and knows all those spots too well. And I think that was just the story of the fight experience.
Yeah, I don't like the whole fraud check thing getting thrown around because like at least in my eyes, I don't think he was supposed to win this fight. I think this was just bad
Wasn't
match
he? He
this was
was.
bad matchmaking by the UFC. This was the UFC who saw a guy who's getting a bunch of views, American wrestler, has all the clout, all the social media hype, and they tried to get him as close to a title they got as close to his title as soon as possible. I think it's kind of similar to the Darren Till thing, but kind of honestly worse because Darren Till was able to handle those guys that they were putting him up against because they built him a little slower. I just think this was really bad matchmaking from the UFC's part. I think Bo Nickel's striking defense is absolutely his biggest issue. I think his offensive striking is whatever. He's a thumper, but I think his lack of ability to the like dodge punches or block punches is really bad. Yeah, I don't think he's a fraud. I hate that term fraud check for this scenario specifically. He was just it was too soon, too much too
Lost
soon
to,
for
yeah,
Bo.
too
I would
much.
say not fraud, but I will say I do agree with derailed hype train. Because this fight showed to me that like Yes, there's gonna be a lot of fighters that Bo can just like wrestle around and just like win a boring 3 round decision or maybe even sub them up, maybe. But I think that there's a lot of fighters also that can actually get up from he clearly does not have dominant top control. And I think that his striking game, his lack of just if you can't like throw a jab and hit Paul Craig and all you can do is spam overhand rights against Paul Craig, a striker of that level, like you really need to work on your striking. And I don't know like if what he's doing in the gym is what he needs to be doing to properly elevate him at the rate that they're trying to like elevate him at.
Yeah.
I,
And
I agree. One thing, I agree. I think the aura's like gone a little bit, but like
He can rebound.
he can rebound. And it was just a terrible matchmaking by the UFC. They didn't rush Paddy Pimblett, Sean O'Malley, or Ian Gary, and they
Facts.
learned over
true.
time and they improved in front of our eyes. And that's literally what they
I
did.
just think where he's at right now, he obviously has the physical attributes and all that. I think he can be very good in the first round where he can use that physicality, that wrestling prowess that he has. But once things get into deeper waters and he has to rely more on skill, I think that's where he's going to get in trouble, and that's where he's got to work at in the gym. Just the fundamentals and the skills, especially with striking.
I disagree that like when the fight breaks down is where he shouldn't be able to rely on his wrestling skills. I think that that is kind of the point of having elite wrestling skills is to be able to rely on them when shit gets tough, right? I just think that shit's always going to be tough if you do not work on your striking game. Like if you're so uncomfortable when you're in the striking realm, it's going to sap your energy a lot faster, you know what I mean? I think that if you take the strikes away and just make them wrestle for you know what I mean, 15 minutes, I think Bo probably is fine. It's just the fact that like I don't think that he's obviously comfortable yet striking, getting hit, all of that. And I think that when you're so afraid of what's going on in the striking realm, even though he's not that guy where he's like a Jailton Almeida, I'm gonna at the beginning of the fight immediately start wrestling, immediately start the grappling. Maybe that might even serve him a little better in terms of working his way into the fights. I don't advise that because his gas tank has shown to be not iffy, but like you know what I mean, not like the strongest, I would say. But either way, I do think that like it's about working himself to a point where he can be comfortable on the feet. Like you don't have like competent on the feet, comfortable on the feet, enough to like pop a jab out there and like I think that like because the thing is like if you get in his face and you start the striking, I don't think that that's something he's comfortable with. Like he basically has to like dictate the pace and like at this higher level, guys are not gonna like, especially after what we just saw. Everyone's gonna. He has a target on his back now, man. He has to be able to find a way to deal with pressure immediately because I almost can guarantee you the next fighter he faces is gonna come out with a similar game plan of like, let's just get in his face and see what he does, you know? And I mean, if he can't like, I think that he should be able to rely on his wrestling later in fights even more so than early when people are fresh. Like I think that like once the people are both tired, like his rushing advantage should take over. Like we see it with everyone else that's a dominant grappler. So I'm not gonna let him off the hook and say that like he shouldn't be able to rely on his wrestling late. I just think that he has to rely on his striking earlier more and like develop some comfortability in that.
Yeah, I think regardless, he got to take the summer off, come back in the fall against an unranked opponent. Just take it slow, man. We're in no rush. He's got plenty of time. But guys, let's move on to this weekend. We're going to Canada. We got Jack Della Maddalena versus Bilal Muhammad. This is his first title defense. And in the co-main, we got Shevchenko versus Furiat. Pretty interesting women's fight there. But guys, let's start at the tippy top. Bilal minus 230 favorite. Jack coming in at plus 190. This was supposed to be Shavkat, but we all know the story. He got injured. JDM steps in. I'm pretty excited for this fight. Classic striker versus grappler. What do you guys see?
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. On this day, I will be picking Bilal Muhammad to win this fight. I hate to do it. I really don't want this man to win. JDM, if you're hearing this, please knock this man out. Please don't get taken down the entire fight like I think you're about to. Like, please just have a, please, you should have been training takedown defense. Please tell me you've gotten better because if that's the case, I think JDM wins this fight. But from what I've seen in the Bazel Haviz fight, the Gilbert Burns fight, basically every fight JDM is in, he's decent at getting back to his feet. I'll give him that. But every fight he gets taken down with ease and at least controlled a little bit enough to where he loses the rounds because of it. I think the striking of JDM is very elite. The boxing's clean, very nice kicks as well. And I don't think Bilal really has an answer if this stays on the feet for a long period of time. But I kind of see it as the same thing versus Leon. I think Bilal's going to pressure him. I think JDM's going to have to be on the back foot since I think he knows his takedown defense isn't great. So he's going to be more on the back foot. And I think he's just going to have to use lateral movement and just stick and move to beat Bilal. And I think Bilal's just going to find him and take him down. I mean, I hate to say it because I think Bilal stinks. I don't think this man's good. This is what I'll say about Bilal. I think he's a good wrestler. Outside of that, the man lays in praise. He doesn't create damage on the ground. He doesn't have this Canelo boxing I've been hearing about.
Definitely.
And it's just, I don't know, it's all mid to me. Like, he's a good wrestler and that's it. Like, that's literally it. He lays in praise all day. He has no submissions in the bank. He doesn't have power. He's a pillow puncher. I I don't think Bilal's that great, but I think stylistically versus JDM, it's a matchup that I could see Bilal winning because I rated Leon a lot higher in the takedown defense and grappling world than I do JDM. And Leon, I mean, Leon's acting weird now, so I don't even know what to say about him. But
Corpse, Leon.
yeah, so
Leon
like,
corpse.
I don't know. Bilal's just been winning, man. He's just been proving me wrong, and I feel like this is the kind of matchup I have to just take him finally. But it doesn't matter. When my boy Rachmanov comes back from the injury, we're getting the belt, staying undefeated for about 20 years, however long the fight. I mean, we'll just stay undefeated for that long. Probably beat Bilal 3 times in that process. So it doesn't matter. But the real answer is who is going to lose to Shavkat? Who's going to lose to him? That's that question we should be answering.
That's
And
what this weekend's about, Clark, to
yeah,
you?
who is going to lose to Shavkat? And I believe Bilal will be the one.
Okay.
Yeah, you mostly covered it, man. I'm gonna also have to, and it does pay me to do this. It does, bro. I've been dreading it even since you said it. I was like, man, you did it, and it's almost my turn to fucking say it. I'm gonna have to pick Bilal, man. Chicago's fucking far from finest, but at the end of the day, um, I just think that it's a bit of case of too much too soon for JDM. Props to him for rising as fast as he has. But I also think that like I've seen a lot of vulnerability in his grappling, and for Bilal, who literally like outside of Sean Brady is the most dedicated grappler in the division, and who has shown success taking down fighters with a much higher takedown defense rate than JDM. I mean, it just seems like this is a perfect matchup for Bilal. Also, like even though Bilal has gotten cracked in the past, like his chin has been holding up recently, so it's not like I feel like JDM's only chance to win this fight almost is to chin Bilal early, probably even, and I just don't. I can't bet on that, even though it is a possibility. Like if it were to happen, I would be surprised, but it wouldn't be like a thing that like I saw like I never saw as a possibility. It's just like not the most likely scenario to me. After seeing what Gilbert Burns was able to do, I think that he was outworking JDM in round three. And if you're getting outworked by a old ass Gilbert Burns in round three before he ended up in that scramble catching him with the knee and turning that fight over, then in a five rounder with Bilal and a fighter with that work rate and that motor and that cardio, I just don't like his chances. I think that his chances are going to get worse and worse as the fight goes on, and Bilal's going to build. And I mean, if for whatever reason Bilal decides to stay on the feet for an extended period of time, then like JDM can more than capitalize, more than knock Bilal out. But I just don't see it happening, man. I have either honestly, I think like this might be a rare Bilal TKO, man. Like I'm gonna predict round 4 or 5 TKO just because of what I've seen of JDM's gas tank in the past, and I think that he might just get like outworked, not because of damage, but just because of like accumulation and just like being gas as fuck. I think that Bilal can really just sap all his energy and send him back to the drawing board, which luckily at 28, he has a lot of time to, get the rub off this and improve his grappling defense, but this is not going to be the one for him. A little bit too early for him.
Yeah, I totally get your guys' standpoint picking Bilal, and like I think this is a really close fight. I'm slightly leaning JDM here. As big as the wrestling discrepancy is, you guys are talking about, I think it's just as big on the feet, and I do think Bilal stands a lot more than people and you guys are saying. He has a really good kicking game. We saw in the Leon fight, he did box Leon up quite a bit. And I feel like if you try that on the feet with JDM, it's just going to be trouble. I fully expect Bilal to get multiple takedowns in this fight, but JDM's not going to sit there and accept it like Leon Edwards did. He's an active scrambler. He's going to do his best. He's going to get up multiple times, I think, also. I don't think cardio is going to be an issue for either guys. And I just see JDM doing too much damage to Bilal on the feet. I don't see Bilal getting a finish here, a sub or TKO, to be honest. I think JDM might win a close decision here. And I totally get what you guys are saying about the past. I fully believe in fighters evolving over time, especially a guy like JDM, who obviously needs to work on the wrestling. He's had a really long time up. And that Gilbert Burns fight, people forget he broke his arm in that fight off a kick from Gilbert Burns. Like that's got to mean something. And then he finished him. And that fight, anytime that fight was on the feet, he was dicing Burns up bad. I'm not just shitting on Bilal. I could totally see him winning this, but I got JDM by decision here. I think actually it's somewhat of an interesting matchup for Bilal.
I agree. My question with you, Ed, is do you think JDM will be sticking and moving or like pressing forward?
He's going to be sticking and moving, and Bilal has to get in the pocket to either shoot for a takedown or for his striking to be effective. He needs to be in the pocket. And if you're going to be in the pocket with JDM, it's going to be trouble. His combinations are insane. He doesn't throw one or two punches every combination like most MMA fighters like Bilal does. He's throwing 4 or 5 punch combos out there. I don't think Bilal's going to be ready for that. Also, Bilal does not wear damage very well. I saw an argument about this. He gets busted up pretty bad on the feet when it stays on the feet extensively. And I don't think Bilal's just going to ride him for 5 rounds. I just don't see that happening to JDM.
But I mean, but Gilbert Burns basically rode him for two, and
Yeah, but
like
but like I said, he had a broken arm.
but he's old. Gilbert Burns was way more watched at that point, man. I don't know. I I get what you're saying about the evolution, and like I would love to see it if JDM comes out, newfound
Oh,
take, newfound takedown defense, stuff like three below takedowns and says, "What's up? This is gonna be contested on the feet." Unfortunately, I just don't think that like in a few short years that gap is like small enough to be bridged. I just think that also Bilal working with Khabib going to be way more dedicated to his grappling attack. What does Khabib preach, man? Wrestling, wrestling, wrestling. If you are the better wrestler, wrestle them, push the pace. I don't think that like even though like you have said like he has shown a propensity to strike a lot more than like he has to, I would say, but I would also argue that like in his last fight that was kind of realizing like, oh, Leon's mentally beaten here, like I can kind of do whatever the fuck I want to him. Um Rather than I think that had a more game Leon showed up, he would have stayed on that wrestling, bro, and just like been dedicated to that. And I think that Habib would damn near kick him out the gym if he decides to like strike too much and gets knocked out by JDM. So I think that that's gonna weigh on him as well.
Well,
People
we
also
can't lie though. Bilal might take the fall. I mean, they might be paying them a good amount of money to take the fall for this
that
fight, so
Dagestan money,
Islam gets in there.
but
Hey,
people also forget Bilal almost got finished at the end of that Leon fight. Um, Like that out of just nowhere, out of dominating, he just almost gets finished. Like I don't think that's a good look. I don't think that plays much stock into it. But this is how I see the fight going. I think it goes all five. It's very close, but I think there's certain rounds where Bilal does have a decent amount of control time, but he's not doing a lot of damage with it. And JDM makes up for that ground on the feet with just bigger strikes and more damage, which seemingly is what the judges are looking for nowadays. So I'm gonna go JDM by split or unanimous decision here.
I feel you. I just would counter by saying that like Bilal is not really a lay and pray merchant. Like he does tend to like stay active. He just doesn't do damage, but he does at least throw rabbit punches and he's more of a like I would rather you get up. I'm just gonna try to take you back down guy to me than he is I'm gonna take get one takedown and blanket you the whole round. Like I feel like you can get up against Bilal, but he's just gonna try to get you back down, which like I don't know where I see JDM getting this like these moments of dominant striking to really win these rounds. I see him winning maybe one round early. If it goes to decision, I see him maybe winning one round early and then like his like cardio just kind of like becoming the main almost factor in the fight.
I don't see JDM winning a decision here. I think
It's knockout or bust.
like it's knockout or I think it has to be. I think his momentum is gonna get broken up a lot in this fight in the striking realm, and just he's gonna have to play this defensive wrestling game. And I get what you're saying, Ed. I could see it, but that's like even still like at most a splitty decision kind of area.
It's a close fight. It's a definitely a close
Yeah,
fight.
but no,
Hmm.
I just think. I just think Bilal is way better in that area. I'll say this, if JDM actually had some submission skills off his back, I would honestly maybe pick him. But the fact he I think has kind of nothing down there outside of an okay sweep to get back up, I think Bilal is just too good for that. And like I said, he's training with Khabib, man. I mean, he is probably getting better over there just wrestling with those guys. So he's probably even a better wrestler now. I've always said he's a good wrestler. And true, I did say lay in praise, but yeah, he gets those little rabbit. He's just not a damage guy. He's a pillow buncher. That's all I meant. So, you know, yeah, Bilal's winning this. Probably decision. Maybe like a fifth round. Maybe subs him. I don't know. Yeah.
Also, this doesn't really play into X's O's to it, but I do believe Bilal's kind of overlooking JDM. It wasn't supposed to be JDM ever, really. He is fifth ranked. He doesn't technically deserve this shot. And yeah, like it's a pretty bad matchup on paper for JDM. So I also think Bilal's kind of just feeling like he's already won this fight, but it's all
I
we will see, guys.
I just
We'll
don't
see.
think that Khabib would like realistically like let him, bro. I just think that like the discipline that they like to be fucking with them, like you can't be half in, half out type shit. You can't like dibble dabble in the Khabib way of life. He does not allow that shit. So for him to be like locked in with them as much as he is. Like I do not see them like I don't see him coming in not serious. You know what I mean? Like if he was by himself, dicking off, maybe I would be like, maybe he is. Maybe he doesn't take JDM that seriously. I don't think that they give a fuck over there in Dagestan, bro. They're like, bro, Khabib is like, look, man, every fight you must train hard. Like you're damn near gonna have a harder time in here than out there. You know what I mean? So I think he's just ready, man. And I hate to say that because I really have made a career off losing picks against Bilal, but at the end of the day, like I have to when I see one this blatant, I have to just be honest. And like I hope that this is the one time I'm still wrong, honestly. And
I
like
hope.
first, like that would be dope because that means that my boy Islam gonna be a double champ, but I just don't see it right now. Like I just don't see this being the guy to beat him.
All right. We'll see, boys. We will see. Let's move on though. We got another title fight. Flyweight women's title bout.
We gotta make a new
Num
segment, Ed's emotional picks. It's crazy.
Guys, you guys are about to see. You guys are gonna see. Y'all will see. We got Shevchenko versus Furiat. Furiat is 12-1 as actually the favorite at minus 155 here. I believe she's 6-0, 7-0 in the UFC. She's looked very impressive. Valentina just got her belt back, beating Grasso in the trilogy fight. Well, yeah, her last three fights have been against Grasso, so not much to talk about her recent history. It's more about the challenger Furiat and what she offers against Valentina. Xavier, I know you're a big bullet guy. We'll start with you. How do you see this one going down?
I might be making another controversial pick, man. I might be making this might be Xavier's fucking emotional picks, man. But I'm gonna go ahead and I do realize like this is way more worrisome for my Shevchenko fandom and for my fantasy team. Um, I think that it was kind of a bit of a surprise that Grasso was able to get that dub over Shevchenko when she kind of like stumbled into that rear naked choke she got in like I think it was like round four of the first fight. Even though I think that was more like one of those like now I don't want to say flash in the pan because Grasso did prove that she like belongs in that upper echelon of the division, but it was kind of one of those like surprise moments. I feel like Faro is way more of a like we've seen this coming kind of a deal. Um, she's looked fantastic since she got into the UFC. I think her footwork and striking from outside would probably give this version of Shevchenko some issues, especially considering like what Grasso was able to do to Shevchenko in the striking. I think it's clear that like maybe her striking has taken a bit of a dip as she's aged a bit. I don't want to say hella, but like enough. And I think that because of that, she has started to rely more on her ground game, which I think that anyone who has that in the toolbox, I think that relying on the ground game, your reflexes go a lot faster than like your grappling and your strength and shit. So I feel like grappling is something that you can always kind of like improve your skill on, even as your um physical gifts start to wean. And I think that that's kind of Shevchenko has started to lean more on her grappling. I just wonder how she's gonna do in terms of getting Faro down without like eating massive strikes in the process. Um, so I think that that is what makes this fight very compelling to me. I am going to emotionally assume that she's gonna be able to get her down and maybe sap the gas tank a little bit of Faro. Um, I feel like that's basically, while not her only path, I would say her best path to victory. Because I do think that I would favor Faro if the fight if you told me that the fight was on the feet for 5 rounds, I would favor Faro at this current stage. And but one thing to counter that though is that even though Shevchenko 37, she's getting kind of up there. Faro not a spring chicken herself. She has a lot less MMA miles on her, but she is like 35 herself. So the age gap is not that wide. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna tentatively guess that Shevchenko maybe squeaks out a splitty or maybe a 1 round 3-2 unanimous decision.
Yeah, this is a very good fight. Furio has been coming for a minute. She's looked very impressive in the USC, physically strong, um, good wrestling, very all around good fighter with a good kickboxing background as well. Um, and she's on Team Clark, so of course I'm picking Furiat. Um, I kind of see this fight being kind of a scrappy, maybe like grappling, maybe a little bit like the main event. I think more on the feet though. I think it'll be there for a longer period of time, but I think the difference in this fight definitely is Shevchenko's takedowns. I think she is the better wrestler than Furia, but I do think Furia just fought Aaron Blanchfield, who I think is like the biggest talent in wrestling in this division, and she shut her down for 5 rounds and honestly made it look easy. So I was very impressed by her last fight. Um, on the feet, very experienced. Fights kind of like a tennis player. She like kind of oomphs all of her shots. Like, ooh, ooh. Like, so she's putting a lot behind them. I think she has the physicality to handle Shevchenko, um, and stuff some of these takedowns. I wouldn't say easily she might get taken down, but I think a lot of this fight will play out on the feet and kind of in the clinch positions, which I think Furiata is very good in the clinch and good kickboxer. So I have her. Shevchenko's a legend. This could be maybe a Tatiana Suarez versus Whaley moment, but in my defense, that one,
That was despicable.
that was despicable. And I don't know what Tatiana Wrestling showed up that night, but in this one, I will say Shevchenko clearly more out of her prime than Wei Li was. I knew it was a risk to take Tatiana versus Wei Li. I feel a little more comfortable going with Furiat here just for all the reasons I listed. I think she's just physically strong for this weight class, and if Shevchenko can get her down, I think she has a hard time in this fight.
I
Yeah,
agree.
it's tough just because like the last three opponents have been Grasso for Shevchenko. I haven't seen much. Furiat's been looking really good. I'm gonna roll with the bullet here slightly. It's very close. I could see it going other way. I think it goes the distance no matter what. I think it'll be very competitive. But I feel like Valentina is a really intelligent fighter, and she's just gonna find a way to win if something isn't working for her. And I'm hoping we see some of that vintage striking here. We haven't seen it in a minute. She's been very grappling heavy against Grasso. I want to see her test that kickboxing again. So I get the hype with Furiat. There's no way if she loses, it's as what's up?
I said, do you want her to win or lose? What are you saying? You're saying two conflicting things. From what I'm hearing,
Oh no. I'm definitely rooting for Shevchenko. Like I like her.
but you're saying
Furiat.
you want her to strike, and to me, that's like saying that you're
Oh,
trying to lose, man.
I don't know because that used to be like her bread and butter. Maybe
True.
because as she ages, she uses wrestling more. But I
I
mean,
just don't.
Prime.
I just don't think that she eats shots as well anymore.
That's a
From
good point.
against Grasso. That's what I'm more so worried about more than anything else. Is just like I think that visually, even if they let's say like they're going skill for skill, tit for tat, I think it's just gonna look worse on Shevchenko
Okay.
based on how she's like how her head's gonna be snapping back and just kind of she might freeze a little bit off the shots a little bit more. Like it's little shit. It's not like super like washed level territory, but it's like when fighters age, they just don't snap back from getting hit as easily. And I think that she might have more success in her grappling just because she has a multi-leveled attack where it's like she can distract with the striking and kind of like catch Furrow like lacking and then like shoot the takedowns, like mix it up better than like an Aaron Blanchfield can, whereas like you kind of know like what she's gonna try to do. That's basically probably what Furrow's whole camp was predicated on. Whereas like I think that Shevchenko can mix in the striking, but I think that like if she doesn't mostly make this fight about striking to get to the ground, then I don't think that she's gonna win probably.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But banger women's title fight. Let's move on to the featured fight. We got Jose Aldo Jr. versus Quebec, Canada's own Amin Zahabi. Another just kind of like matchup I feel like no one was asking for in terms of like Aldo matchups. Like put him against someone more fun and noticeable. Zahabi is not a prospect. I didn't know he was 37 years old. I did not know this. He's undefeated in the UFC, I believe, though. He's on a pretty nice winning streak, 12-2. Jose Aldo also, I think he's coming off a loss also, but he's looked pretty impressive at 135. What are your guys' thoughts on this fight? And break it down for me. How you think it's going to go down in the cage?
He's coming off a loss, but that loss was a fight against Mario
Bautista.
Bautista, and it was a fight that Bautista was kind of shamelessly just holding him up against the cage.
That's
So
how you beat Aldo. That's how Marab did it. Like,
that's basically like everyone who's like been able to beat Aldo damn near in especially at bantamweight. It has only been through basically like smothering him, not even taking him down significantly, just mostly pushing him and up against the cage. Um, so I mean, I don't think that in any of his losses, including to Marab, I felt like Aldo lost any stock really. Because it kind of just looked like, oh yeah, these guys don't want to strike with Aldo. Even old ass Aldo, they're still scared of him. So I feel like he just still gains aura for me when these guys just hold him up against the cage. Even though it's like, damn, maybe a younger Jose would have like been able to find his way off the cage. I miss when he used to throw leg kicks a lot more. He doesn't
yeah,
seem to do that as much.
you a boxer now.
Um, he a boxer now exactly, but I still think that this version of Aldo should be enough to beat Zahabi. From what I've seen, Aldo still has like the speed advantage in his hands. And I mean, I just think that I don't see Zahabi being able to smother him against the cage for, 3 rounds the way that these other guys have. I feel like Zahabi is a step down in comp from these other guys. And I think that they're kind of trying to give Jose a winnable fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think Aldo should win this fight, especially from what he's when he came back, beat a very good Jonathan Martinez, and dominated that fight. I mean, he won every round pretty clean on the feet and all through the striking. Lost a close one to Bautista. I thought maybe you could give it to Aldo, but I was fine with the decision call. Bautista was kind of shameless in the end. But yeah, as a hobby, I mean, I've watched him. He's looked good, I will say, but not the biggest finisher. A pretty big decision merchant. Okay striking. Doesn't wrestle a lot, which I feel like is the big concern for me in this matchup. And I don't think he has enough power behind his shots to get the respect from Aldo. And I feel like Aldo has just seen it all. I wouldn't be surprised if Sahabi won, but I will say the curse of Canada is on, and none of their fighters are. Whoever's Canadian fighting on this card, I am picking against you after the last few Canadian events, because all they have done is lost. Oh, by the way, we'll get to a Canadian fighter who just got added to the card, who's a I don't even know, but most of these Canadians losing. That's all I gotta say. So I'm taking Aldo. He should just be the better striker, and that's where I see this fight taking place. I wish he kicked more. That's the only thing. But the great thing about Zahabi is he doesn't really kick either. This is gonna be, I think, a lot of boxing, a lot of clinch work, dirty boxing. I think that's all we're gonna see really, and I like all those chances. You know, like you said, the only way I think is Zahabi pinches him against the cage and like just works a lot to the body, kind of like what the Ritter did. But I just don't
I don't
see
see it.
Aldo going for that. So I think this is kind of easier matchup than Aldo has gotten so far. So I'm picking him.
Yeah, I'm also going with Aldo. I don't really rate Zahabi as highly as I do a guy like Bautista personally. I could see him winning kind of like Clark said, like a boring ass thing where he's just kind of gets like one takedown maybe and then clinches Aldo against the fence for a while. But I think Aldo has a clear striking advantage. They're around the similar age, which I had no idea. Sahabi has the home court advantage, but I feel like Jose Aldo is going to get cheered more regardless. I'm going to go Aldo by unanimous decision.
Yeah, I feel like
Just
the age factor is also important here too. Like Aldo has been fighting guys significantly younger than him, so like fighting someone his own age, like he already still has like speed advantages against most of these younger guys, so he's definitely gonna be chewing this guy up, to be honest.
yeah. Shout out to Bautista, Martiz, and Zahabi. Like they are good, great fighters, but like I just feel like these three opponents in a row for Aldo, like no one asked for any of these fights for
That is
Aldo. But
true. I don't get. I don't get the matchmaking, but.
but should still be fun. You know.
Facts.
All right, let's move down. Women's flyweight. We got a familiar opponent from Valentina Shevchenko. Grasso was a plus 180 underdog against Natalia Silva, ranked number 5. How do you guys see this one going, and are those odds justified?
Ooh. Natalia Silva has looked really good in her UFC career. Um, I think that based on what we last just seen off of Grasso, which was basically her just getting Russell fucked largely by Shevchenko. I kind of get why, like in a game like this where everyone has recency bias, like why the odds are what they are. When Natalia Silva has looked so impressive so far in her career, um, she's coming off just like beating up Andrade. Um, she's been on the rise the whole time, undefeated in the UFC so far. So I mean, like it's basically the case of like a hype train meeting like a derailed hype train kind of, where it's like pretty like 2 fights ago, people were like, "Oh my God, Grasso the future. She just beat Shevchenko, like she next up," and now 1 fight later, it's like recency bias. I feel like the odds are a little wide. I see why Silva is the favorite, but I would probably make it like more like a minus 130, minus 150 range. I think Grasso could win this fight, especially if she were to be able to implement her grappling. I just think she's at a bit of a striking disadvantage here, a little bit, but I think that she could uh pull out a upset here, potentially.
Yeah, I agree. I think the line should be a little closer. But I like Natalia Silva in this matchup. Alone from the last fight, I think Grasso's not going to be looking to take her down. And Natalia Silva, actually, at this point, has proven to be a very good wrestler and grappler herself. So I think she can win in those positions. But if it stays on the feet at all times where I think both are at their biggest strengths, I think Silva might just outclass her a little more. I think from what I've seen from Silva, she sticks and moves beautifully. The head kicks are money, all the her kicks. She just puts a lot behind each punch, but at the same time, kind of with her great lateral movement, she reminds me a lot of Sean, how he's very good at laterally moving around. And I think Silva wins a fight like that. I get what you're saying, X. I could see Grasso maybe pulling, the quote unquote upset. I
I
mean,
don't, I don't,
Boring ass cards, bro.
they're just like coasting off the main the fact that there's 2 title fights basically.
Facts. But yeah, I agree. I'm gonna go with Natalia Silva here. I just think she's on the rise. I really like her striking game. And I just like her aggressiveness. She seems very assertive in there, which I feel like is kind of lacking at flyweight sometimes. And I know you kind of touched on the recency bias thing, but my God, Grasso just looked very uninspiring in that last fight. I also thought Valentina beat her the second time. Shout
I
out
did,
Grasso, but I
yeah.
got Silva.
I think that Grasso's best attribute on the feet is is her boxing, and I think that Natalia Silva's like lateral movement, fighting from the outside, pot shotting, will be kind of like frustrating to her. And over the course of like 3 rounds, I think that the speed advantage will not be enough to be bridged. I think that if this were a 5 rounder, like a 5 rounder for some reason, maybe a main event type fight night card main event, I think that that might serve Grasso better. Whereas like the fight's gonna slow down at some point. I think for in a 3 round fight, Silva's gonna be able to for at least 2 rounds skate around and pot shot her before like she might be able to do it for 3 rounds, but I'm just gonna say like I think that when they're fresh, she has the advantage based on her style and based on Grasso's best offensive trait being her boxing. I just don't think that Silva's gonna stay in front of her for that long.
Sure.
I'm gonna guess like a UD.
yeah, it
All
goes to
right.
decision.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's finish up with the main card here. We got BSD versus Kyle Propolek. late notice replacement here. I don't think the odds are updated, but
They're not. There's no
there's
chance.
definitely they're definitely not. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't personally know too much about this guy, so I'm gonna pick BSD here.
I can't even find this dude on anything.
He's 12-7, I believe. Last fought in the UFC in 2019
Okay,
against
so
Hubbard.
what I have found is he has been fighting in BTC.
The fuck is
Well,
that?
actually, he's been moving around.
Bitcoin? He's been fighting in Bitcoin.
Bitcoin Fighting League.
Prospect FC, United MMA. What are these? There is no okay. And let's look at the UFC career. He had two fights.
How is he ranked 15 at lightweight?
I don't think he is. That can't be right.
I think, yeah, I think they're replacing him with Alvarez. Someone on the
Yeah, because that doesn't make sense.
the internet squad is fucking up at the UFC headquarters right now, but yeah, there's no chance. BSD's winning this fight. This dude has two fights in the UFC from 2019. He lost to Hubbard and Nordine Talib, whoever that
Yeah,
is.
shout out Hubbard.
Shout out
He,
Harper, man. He made his way back. He made his way
he
back.
did, he did. But I'm just saying that only fights in the UFC, and I guess got cut immediately or
He clapping
something.
Paige Van Zandt.
And
Isn't that Paige Van Zandt's husband?
with
Ooh,
who?
Hubbard?
Is it Austin Harper Paige Van Zandt's husband?
Oh, no way.
I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure.
think so, but maybe.
That's
I,
like his
I,
claim to fame, I believe.
I know who you're talking about, but I don't think it's him.
I don't think so. I'm not seeing it, but maybe. I don't know. But yeah, BSD wins this. I mean, BSD has been on kind of a not great run last year. His first fight since Moicano, where he kind of got obliterated on the ground. But I mean, this dude seems to be just a striker from what I'm seeing by his resume. Most of his wins come by TKO. Um, Doesn't go to decision a lot. Only four times he's gone decision. So
He's a dog.
I could kind of see this being a scrappy fight. And those are the kind of fights BSD is usually in. And he's been losing a lot of them lately, but he can win and lose them. But I think BSD is probably going to be the guy with the better wrestling skills here. So I think he gets this done probably through wrestling, especially a three rounder. I think he can get this guy down probably two times and hold him.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna have to take the recency of the recent quality of opponent for BSD. I mean, when you almost beat a Poirier, like I don't think that a guy coming from Gooberfuck FC is gonna fucking come in here and storm the gates on BSD. I mean, if he does, then I'll rate him high immediately. But if he was a UFC washout back in the day, I'm not gonna take him to beat BSD coming in randomly. So give me BSD as a dog, and I hope that that cashes, man.
Yeah, with that. Prelims are kind of scarce, guys. Is there anyone you care to touch on? Shout out Mike Malott. He's on every Canada card.
Shout out my boy Charles Radke, man. Chicago's own. Chicago's far from finest, but he be saying some crazy shit on the mic. But shout out Chicago, man. I feel like he's a bit more of a representative of the Chicago spirit than Bilal, even though he's a much worse fighter. Um, besides that, I fuck with Navajo Sterling versus
Good up
Ethan
and comer.
Osborne. That's a good fight. I rate Navajo pretty good, 6-0. So yeah, shout out him. And then yeah, that's basically it of what I want to talk about.
Yeah, I will give one more shout out, I think, to Jazovic. I think she gets it done versus Andrade and starts. She's a good contender for flyweight. She's also kind of in that Macy. I need to see Macy, man. I need to see Macy Barber back in the fight. I know she has a main event coming up soon versus Blanchfield. So I do like Jazovic winning, and I think flyweights. especially if Furia beats Shevchenko, is about to get very interesting.
Definitely.
Very interesting, especially if Whaley moves up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ooh.
all these girls can get the fucking Whaley smoke, man. I'm calling you. I'm telling you right now.
All right, then,
Um,
guys. Let's end the video by picking a fight of the night's prediction and a performance of the night prediction. I will start. Fight of the night. I said it's gonna be close. I think I'm gonna do JDM versus Bilal. Fight of the night and performance of the night. I'm gonna go with BSD. I feel like he makes quick work of this replacement fighter and has a vintage finish to open up the main card. So those are my picks.
I'm gonna go fight of the night, Valentina Shevchenko, Man and Firo. I feel like no matter what, I see that being unless there's like a quick finish for no reason. 9 times out of 10, I see this being a back and forth competitive fight throughout. Performance of the night. I'm gonna go maybe. I can see Jazz Davicius kind of styling on Andrade, to be honest. Um, I could also see if Navajo Sterling got got a performance bonus as well. And then wait, did I do them both already? I did fight of the night, I did performance bonus. I could also see if Bilal got it if he just beat the dog shit out of JDM and dominated him, to be honest.
yeah, find the night. I'm gonna go. I don't know how this Kyle Provolek's gonna do, but I feel like this is just gonna be one of those good messy scraps. So, and I'm kind of hoping this man shows up at 35. He's got nothing to lose, so he better show up. So
Yeah.
maybe it won't be a good fight, but I can kind of see why he's in this spot. I think they want it to be like a scrappy war. So I'm gonna go for that one fight of the night. Performance of the night. I'm gonna go Bilal. I'm gonna stick with him. I think he just does very well versus Shady M and makes it look dominant. But I like the Jazz Vicious pick as well. One of those two.
Ready for sure. Should be a I mean, on paper, it's not an amazing card, but like those two main events are pretty lit. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Please check out the TikTok, leave a comment over there, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.